If you've been on the internet, let's say between the last 8 to 12 months, you may have seen a very simple 4-letter word come across your screen in order to dismiss any kind of content that you actually enjoy. And that word is slop. The Merriam-Webster definition of slop is this: digital content of low quality that is produced usually in quantity by means of artificial intelligence. Food waste, such as garbage fed to animals. Excreted body waste, usually used in plural. And by that first definition alone, you could definitely see why that word was attached to something like Microsoft, when they in fact went and doubled down on AI and said not to make fun of people using AI for their artwork, pretty much giving them the brand name of micro slop. That word being attached to Microsoft made a lot of sense, especially because of that first definition. Also, anything of low quality, which is exactly what I want to talk about today. Now, I know what you're saying, Alex, why on earth are you talking about the word slop, giving us the definition, and even then talking about slop in the title of your video? Well, it's all going to come together with this tweet from Game Rant. Game Rant on Twitter says this: after tens of thousands of votes, these are the 10 best video games of all time, according to Game Rant's readers. You can influence the rankings by letting us know which game is better at the link. First of all, a website that's supposed to write articles, not knowing how to write a sentence, is actually kind of absurd. But I think what's even more absurd is in fact the list that was chosen by readers in Game Rant's poll for best games of all time. When we go over this, I hope you're sitting down. Game Rant's top 10 best games ever made according to you. Number 1, Red Dead Redemption 2. Number 2, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Number 3, Elden Ring. Number 4, The Witcher 3 The Wild Hunt. Number 5, Batman Arkham City. Number 6, Resident Evil 4. Number 7, God of War 2018. Number 8, Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1. Number 9, Cyberpunk 2077. And number 10, God of War Ragnarok. Look, let me be honest. Some of the games on here I really do enjoy. The thing is, though, I would consider a large majority of this list to be some of the best games of all time. And it has like a really weird smattering of games as well. Like, I get this obsession with Red Dead Redemption 2 that everybody seems to have, because whenever you jump on Twitter and a new game comes out, there's always that one guy trying to compare it to Red Dead 2, seeing as how it did cloth physics better at that time before, or like the water looks better. There's always that one guy. He's pretty annoying if you ask me. But the thing is, though, this list has so many odd choices. Both the Nordic God of War games, like what? Not even like the classic Greek saga of all things, which is actually kind of absurd. And I get Elden Ring, and I kind of get Skyrim, but even then Skyrim itself is a shadow in its comparison to basically every other Elder Scrolls game that was ever made. Looking at Morrowind or even Daggerfall completely eclipses Skyrim across the board. Batman Arkham City I liked, sure, but there are definitely better games above that game as well. Same thing with Resident Evil 4. I would dare say even Resident Evil 2, the original, is actually better than RE4, but that's just my personal opinion. And then Cyberpunk 2077 making that list, I mean, I guess it had a really good comeback after Liberty City, but best game of all time? That's a tough list to choose. My problem with this list is that it completely invalidates all of the actual massive classics that have been around in the gaming industry since even the 80s and early 90s. Games that even today people still look back in a fond memory of to talk about how great those games in fact are. Hell, when I made this tweet, this is where things really popped off. No Chrono Trigger, Deus Ex, Final Fantasy 6 through 9, Zelda, Mario, Morrowind, Tony Hawk, Halo, Half-Life, Baldur's Gate, Mass Effect, Fallout 1 and 2, Silent Hill, StarCraft, Warcraft, Diablo, Portal, Nier, Command & Conquer, and so many more I'm missing. This gen is cooked. And the thing is, even with my small list of games that could have replaced basically anything on that Game Rant list, there were still people trying to argue with me that the games I was choosing weren't good, or are the dreaded name that everybody seems to be throwing around online, slop. And anybody who's as old as I am can clearly see exactly why those games were resonating with so many people. Even generations ago, through the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, these games still hold the test of time. And it's honestly absurd, and I would even dare say a crime of art, that a lot of these games are not played today by so many people because they're simply just not modern enough for them. And I think this is where I have a big issue with the term slop in the first place. PK Shy Guy tweeted this: how did Chrono Trigger start a bunch of discourse over one dude calling it underwhelming? And the Volzex replied saying, Chrono Trigger is slop. Not gonna lie. Coefficient also said this: found out about the new English update, slop. I have questions because this is outrageous. So is slop just every game that's not Roblox or Minecraft? And that's really what I'm talking about today. This complete aversion for a lot of people in the modern age to avoid playing older games simply because they're just older. I mean, I love this Twitter account called Dead Soul. They make some really great memes every now and then, but they posted this meme right here showing slop and basically showing some of the greatest games practically ever made. Everything from Half-Life to Halo 3 to Morrowind to Fallout to Mount and Blade to Modern Warfare 2, World of Warcraft, Stalker, Mass Effect, Fable, KOTOR, Black Ops, Age of Mythology, and the list goes on and on and on. Practically any game made in the early 2000s or even in the 90s is now considered to be slop. And that's where I'm getting this entire video from. Calling something slop simply because you don't have the actual ability to go back and play that older game on your own truly is astonishing to me, and basically explains why in the modern age right now, especially in the gaming space, we are in fact getting nothing more than just slop on a consistent basis. Really stop and think about it from this perspective. How many times have you seen every game developer or publisher try to push more live service to chase that Fortnite money? Practically all of them. How many more games and publishers do you see just remaking classics of old games to bring back into the new era? Capcom is a perfect example. You wouldn't call Resident Evil slop simply because it had a remake that was done recently. Now, personally, I think the originals of Resident Evil are in fact superior to the remakes. And I'm looking at you, Resident Evil 3. It was bad. And I really think it's actually quite comedic for people to call older games slop, not only because they're just older games, but also calling them slop in the first place. Like I said, the majority of games on that list by Dead Soul are some of the highest Metacritic rated games of basically all time. Even most modern games today don't hold a candle to what those games did back in the 90s and 2000s. And the wild part about this as well is that because we're seeing so many game developers and publishers, like I said before, chase the trends of the live service, try to track down and attract Gen Z and Gen Alpha, even though they are historically right now paying less money for video games more than ever, we're also seeing at the same time that the average age of gamers has increased, not from 18 to 20 or 18 to 35, but is now 41 years old. Dan the Mega Driver says, "Dear modern gamers, this is why you get slop. And you deserve it." New Shade says, using slop as an excuse to not play actually good games. Dread Snail says, slop and 90% of them are masterpieces. Seeing that Game Rant list and then seeing that post by Dead Soul calling classic games slop, even though the majority of them are in fact, as we saw before, masterpieces, is actually incredibly shocking to me and really puts into perspective what is in fact happening to the gaming industry. We are watching in record time as the industry itself has no new ideas on what to do or what games to make. And we saw before Capcom and so many others going back to the well, bringing back old classics of titles, remastering and remaking them, and making tons of money in the process. But I think there's a deeper problem, a deeper issue in the modern gamer instead, rather than what we grew up with, and why so many people are calling older games slop. Look at any classic game from that previous list. Let's take Morrowind, for example. When you're playing Morrowind, yes, the visuals are a little bit more dated than what you would expect from today. Nothing is 4K high-resolution textures. There's no ray tracing, sure, whatever. But the thing is, the atmosphere in that game is far superior to anything that you could actually possibly imagine of what you're getting in a modern game right now, even though the visuals are not where they should be and things look pretty blocky. Yeah, we get it. You lost your ring. We'll find it for you. Don't worry. And Morrowind is an actual perfect example of why so many modern gamers are calling older classic games slop. And it's really due to just one specific word: friction. You see, Morrowind doesn't have any quest markers. It doesn't have a HUD that tells you where to go. All it does is give you a journal where you have to read in the actual book of where things are in the world, and also go up and talk to and read text from all the other people that you meet across that landscape and even that entire in-game world as well. Going through, taking notes, understanding things, reading, comprehending, and basically just getting a grasp and idea of what that actual world is and understanding the lore behind it, and using that ability of friction with your weapons breaking, with having to repair, learning what things are, reading stats, understanding your character sheet, understanding how to level up, what the actual stats do on your character, and how to play the game as well. These are all points of friction that a lot of modern gamers do not want to engage with, and I feel that is exactly why so many people have an issue with older games. Simply put, what's happening now is that practically every modern game is trying to buff and polish away all the old friction and put everybody into a dull shine, trying to make things as easy as possible while still providing a cinematic experience to play the video game, making it from an actual interactive one where you're understanding the lore and gaining all the new ground of what happens in the game, to something that you're just seeing from a theme park perspective. You walk through, follow the trail, do the quest marker. Congrats, it's done. You got a little achievement on the bottom. Did that Pavlovian dog response help out? I'm sure it did. Now scroll on your phone for 20 more minutes before you get back to playing the video game and doing another little icon on your actual mini-map to go through and have that done, and another achievement pop for you as well. If you ask me, the real slop isn't the slop that people are trying to basically dismiss simply because something is old and has friction. The actual slop we're dealing with today is what we're getting with the modern games, in fact, right now. Think about how many times you've seen the yellow paint conversation happen every single time, especially online with so many other games. Look at how other companies and developers use people like Darkside Phil to make their video games as well. Literally dumbing down and minimizing everything, removing all points of friction from any other player in order to maximize the actual money of return spent. Dumbing down the game, reducing the genre to its more basic points, removing all these points of friction is exactly what game developers and publishers see as a surefire way of getting more people to purchase a product. But in the end, all we get is just the same old slop. And that's really what angered me the most, is watching these responses, watching these kinds of comments, and also Game Rant's tweet talking about the best games of all time, when in reality what people are doing is trying to dismiss classic video games and even games that people could actually enjoy simply because they're old. And using the word slop to dismiss them is actually pretty bullshit, because I can go back and look at everything they're playing, which more than likely is going to be Madden, 2K, FIFA, Fortnite, and Roblox, and I can look at all of that and say, well, that's slop. When you really think about it, that's live service, live service, live service, live service, live service, all doing everything to take your money and hook you, giving you the worst kind of content, no actual imagination, no way of doing something new and fresh, and no way of actually providing the user something to actually give them some friction and work towards and actually enjoy. And I think that's what everybody is in fact trying to avoid. They're trying to avoid any risk of possibly losing their time to something that they may not actually like, when they've already got something that they play every day and they enjoy it right now, even if it is the lowest common denominator. Doesn't that sound like slop if you ask me? With Twilight CHR on Twitter saying this, quote, aged poorly, and it's just gameplay that doesn't hold your hand completely. A game not holding your hand is now considered to be aging poorly, or at the same time considered to be slop. Oh, you like playing that old game that takes skill and effort to play? Yes, it's challenging, it's exciting, it's something new every time. It's not the same old garbage on repeat that we've had over and over again, like the Fortnite slop you play. And that's really one of the more disheartening things that I can honestly see online. Watching people totally ignore and not want to play an older game simply because, oh, I can see the pixels, or there's tank controls, or where's the mini-map marker to tell me where to go? I have to actually read a quest? There's no voice acting? What is this, a baby's game? Yeah, Elijah Wood, I know you were in Back to the Future too. We get it. Look it up. That's actually a really funny thing. That actually was Elijah Wood in Back to the Future. It's actually pretty funny. You should check that out. And this is really what I'm trying to say with all of this. Just because a game is older, just because the graphics are more pixelated, just because it has tank controls or something different that you're not used to, it doesn't mean that you should simply dismiss the game every single time or not at least try the game out, especially in today's modern age when you could get your hands on most of these games for practically pennies on the dollar. The only thing you're going to be risking is your 10 to 15 minutes of trying something you might actually like, and then getting to explore an entirely brand new world or even genre of games you were never even inclined to try in the first place because you've been stuck on just one kind of game over and over again, and your dopamine receptors have been fried on a consistent basis, and you can't let go of anything because that game has in fact hooked you. You know, put you on the slop trough. So here's a little experiment that I want you to try the next time you're playing a video game. If you're someone who thinks that older games are in fact slop, or even if you're playing a new modern game and this happens to you as well. If you're playing a video game, whether it's Fortnite, whether it's a new AAA game or anything else, the second you pick up your cell phone to look at something else for even a few more minutes, that's the exact moment you should turn that game off and get your money back. That tells you one thing specifically. That game is in fact wasting your time. So when that happens, pick up an older game. Doesn't matter which one, go to Metacritic of top games of all time and get an older game instead. Whether it's Ocarina of Time, whether it's Half-Life 2, Warcraft 2, StarCraft, Tony Hawk, whatever have you. Play an older game instead and look at the difference of how long it takes you to pick up your phone with an older game than with a newer one. And you'll definitely see a huge difference. But you know what? I want to hear what you guys got to say about this in the comment section down below. Do you play slop games? Are you going to try a couple of them now? Or what games do you recommend other people to try as well? I want to hear what you got to say. If you want to see more of this kind of content though, subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate it. Also, new videos every Monday, so come on down and check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you next time.